Hello everyone, welcome to a new series on this channel. Well, it's an episode talk again, but like this time it's of Yu-Gi-Oh! The finale of the trifecta, because there were 3 anime that I wanted to cover on this channel last year. It was Pokemon, for obvious reasons, because it's my life. There was Dragon Ball, because since I was already doing Dragon Ball Daima, it was a perfect jumping off point, and the final one was Yu-Gi-Oh! But then there had to be some troubles with me getting the new floor, and that kind of ruined everything, sadly enough. That kind of it actually did ruin everything, and I had to push this backwards out of the 3 because, like I said, you know, Pokemon was the important one, and Dragon Ball worked so well, you know, coming off of Daima into regular Dragon Ball. So I had to drop Yu-Gi-Oh! But also, that was a good thing because of the fact that it is right now, well, technically in September, but I don't care. It is the 30-year anniversary of this franchise. Yes, not only does Pokemon have its 30-year anniversary this year, Yu-Gi-Oh! Does as well, because the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga was released in September of 1996. So happy 30-year anniversary, and also happy April Fool's, boys. But I promise you, it's not an April Fool's thing. It's just the first Wednesday of April was when I'm gonna start this thing, and that turned out to be the 1st of April, so I didn't pick it. I didn't choose it because of that. I had a plan. Also, I thought, you know what, we can do dual monsters, and that probably might get more views. Probably not, you know, knowing my channel. But anyway, I wanted to start with the original. Now, this thing has 2 different names. Either it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Toei 1999 or 1998, or it's just Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0. And from this point forward, I shall be referring to the show as Season 0. While this is not actually Season 0, this covers stuff from the manga that the anime kind of skips. Because the Duel Monsters anime kind of just glosses over, like, the first part and just kind of has a couple of flashbacks to the early parts of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga. It basically just goes into the Duelist Kingdom arc, and that is it, and onwards, that kind of stuff. But we skip a bunch, so I'm doing this so that we can kind of get ourselves immersed in the past, and also get a new character that doesn't exist after this, which I just think is funny. And I am actually watching this up. Now, for the last thing, before we really get into this episode, it's the gameplay. Now, the thing is, for Dragon Ball, I'm using my Xenoverse Let's Play that I did back in day, like 6 years ago. And for Pokemon, I record a Pokemon game like Yellow or Crystal, and then I have that footage go while I talk about the episodes. A little problem though, Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't play games. I don't play the Yu-Gi-Oh! games. I have one on my PlayStation 4, and I'm not turning that thing on. But, like, I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! games, so I don't have any Yu-Gi-Oh! game footage in order to have over this, because if I use the actual anime footage, Toei will smite me with the help of YouTube. And I don't want that, because I'm a small channel. I can't get that back like a bunch of big channels. So, what you guys are gonna get is my Let's Play of Mass Effect that I did years ago on the Let's Play channel. Subscribe, link in the description and at the end of the video. You know the drift. Anyway, let's get into this, and man, this thing is different. Like, this show is so different from what we know, because Duel Monsters isn't even a part of it yet. Anyway, this episode starts off in Egypt, and there are some people who find the box that contains the pieces of the Millennium Puzzle of Yami. Attempt later, but Yami from this point until we get to like season 5's reveal. Then afterwards, at school, during the break time, Yugi is like stacking cards. Then a guy is like, hey Yugi, why don't you play basketball with us? And Yugi's like, no, you guys have your fun. I'm just gonna drag you down anyway, because of the fact that, well, I'm not that good at basketball. It's like, well, okay, yeah, that's not untrue. And then afterwards leaves. Then Yugi kind of starts to talk a little bit to himself about the puzzle, and he wants to open up the box, but then Joey steals it. By the way, I am gonna use the English names because they are ingrained in me brain, except for one character who never appeared in the dub, or like in the Duel Monsters anime, so she's the only one. Mai-Ho is the only one that I'm not gonna be thinking about with like a dub name, because she doesn't have a dub name. But anyway, Joey steals it, and he wants Yugi to take it to become a man. However, then Tristan comes in and is like, Joey, give it back. But Joey doesn't do it. Then there's some arguing, and then afterwards Taya comes in, grabs the box, gives it back to Yugi because she's great. And also Miho is here, which that name, it's Miho. Whatever. But she's also here. She's more in the background, but she's actually a main character, and I'm like, who are you? supposed to be. Because, like, you didn't appear in Duel Monsters. Like, people pretended like you never even existed at all. But anyway, she is hungry and she wants some food. So then Tristan's like, I'll get you some food, because he's in love with her. And Joey also leaves. So then Joey and Tristan, they talk a little bit about the encounter. Then they bump into a big guy who's named Ushio. And he apparently is from the public morale people or something like that. I don't know. But basically, he doesn't tolerate bullying at all, even though he's a bully himself, but we'll get more into that at the end of the episode. Meanwhile, Yugi tries to defend Joey to Taya, but that doesn't really work, and also then he opens up the box and shows Taya the pieces, and basically, if you solve the puzzle, you get your wish granted, and then she's like, ooh, what are you gonna wish for? And my first reaction was like, your hand in marriage, because I know how Yugi is. Alright, Yugi wants your hand in marriage. That's what he wants. But no, he's not gonna tell her, but he wants his, I guess, friends. However, Joey stole a piece of the puzzle, and he throws it into the water, while he also tells Tristan to get food for Miho. So, Tristan runs off, and he throws it in the water. So then, at the end of the school day, Yugi is about to go home, but he sees the public morale people train, and then he gets asked by Ushio if he's been bullied, and Yugi's like, no, I have not been bullied. So, yeah, that's a lie. He kind of smells that lie immediately, and he's going to investigate himself. So then Yugi returns home, Teia's there as well, and Grandpa has noticed that Teia's breasts have grown because it is Japanese media, and if you do not talk about a woman's breast at least once, you're doing it wrong. You are doing it absolutely wrong. If you don't have an old guy talking about a woman's breast, then, you know, you gotta. It's Japanese tradition. It's the Japanese culture. But anyway, Grandpa afterwards tells them a story that everyone who got the box died because of Yummy Game, which I guess is just the Shadow Game. But it's called Yummy Game, but I might be call it Shadow Game from this point forward. Because in the manga, Shadow Games were actually like a serious thing, unlike, you know, the anime, where it not necessarily. And also, we learned that Yugi has apparently been trying to solve the Millennium Puzzle for the last 8 years, which I will say one thing, while I will be covering Pyramid of Light, and while I count Pyramid of Light as canon to the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, not necessarily this one, because this one is not canon to the Duel Monsters anime. Yeah, there's some continuity errors between the two, so just wanted to say that. So then the next day, Ushio has apparently beaten up Tristan and Joey and will be Yugi's bodyguard. However, Yugi didn't want this at all, and he jumps in order to tell them to stop and stuff like that. However, then apparently the bodyguard costs are gonna be 20,000, so he's gotta pay up. And Yugi at the moment doesn't have the money, but I guess he has until tomorrow to get the money. So then later on in the evening, Yugi finally has the drive, the motivation in him in order to solve the Millennium Puzzle. He gets all the pieces together. By the way, none of them really seem to tab together all that well. It's basically you lie the pieces on top of each other. There doesn't seem to be any glue involved. There are no holes and pegs sticking out in order to tab it together. So how does this whole thing stay together? Whatever, it doesn't matter. He's done, except one piece, and it's not here. So then afterwards, oh, by the way, also Yugi called Joey and Tristan his friends, so that's important as well. And by the way, why did Tristan get beaten up to begin with? He didn't do anything wrong. Joey was the one who bullied Yugi, not Tristan. So Joey and Tristan are walking back home, I guess, and they walk past the place where Joey put the piece in, and Joey realized that Yugi may not be a bad guy at all, or like, you know, maybe he wants to be friends with Yugi. So he jumps down into the water, and I'm like, that is pretty far down. How did you not, first of all, break your ankles, and second of all, how are you planning to get out, good sir? Yeah, no idea. Don't know how he's gonna get out. But anyway, he jumps down there, grabs the piece, and I guess he got out on his own. Meanwhile, Yugi runs back to school in order to, you know, find the piece. However, then he gets stopped by Ushio, who wants the money now. So then he takes Yugi to a special location to beat him up, obviously. Tristan sees this, so I guess Tristan and Joey got out, and then afterwards it went over. Because of the fact that Yugi has been beaten up, then Joey and Tristan arrive. Joey gives the piece back to Yugi, and then afterwards they fight off Ushio themselves because of the fact that they are now friends with Yugi, which is actually a detail that some people may not have noticed, but this happened before the puzzle was finished, so he didn't actually get his wish granted yet until like Joey and Tristan are his friends now before he completes the puzzle. Dude, you should have used your wish on Taya, just say. But sadly enough, Joey and Tristan, they get beaten up, so then Yugi uses that piece of the puzzle in order to be able to finish the puzzle. And also this is kind of different because in the movie it actually is shown that Yugi is in his bedroom and he finished the puzzle. But anyway, he finishes the puzzle, and then his shadow gets taken over by Yami. And then Yami talks to Ushio, and then we teleport to like a tall building where basically both Yami and Ushio are hanging from a building. And now it's time to play a game. Because yes, originally Yu-Gi-Oh! Was not just about the card game. It was about a bunch of different games. The card game was just a part of it. And then it blew up, which nobody expected. So yeah, they both hang from the building. And basically you gotta make it to the top and the money is yours. How he got that money is beyond me, but the money is up there. But you gotta basically, you can move up as the card says. So basically you turn it around, it's a 10, so you can move 10 paces up, that kind of stuff. So they go back and forth for a little bit until eventually Yugi's all the way at the top, except for one step. He only needs to have a 1. Meanwhile, Ushio is all the way at the bottom. So then Ushio grabs a joker, which means that he loses, and Yugi, or Yami I guess, he grabs the ace, which is a 1, so he gets to the top. There you go. So then Ushio is angry about this, and then he decides to climb up, which breaks the games. Then afterwards he cuts Yugi free, which causes him to fall off the building, and then he wants to grab the money, but the money is not actually the money. It is actually just a deck of cards. So then afterwards he falls off the building, and Yugi's hanging, or Yami is hanging off the side, but he falls and he's like, I'll just land in the water, and weird snakes start to come out, and then later on we see him crying because he is broken by the Yummy game. And there you go. And then the next day, apparently Joey has his own treasure for Yugi, and it's friendship. Yes indeed, officially Yugi and Joey have become besties. And that's the first episode, and man, what a good episode. Yes, there was a lot to talk about, a lot more than these Dragon Ball episodes. Maybe it's gonna like scale back, or maybe I'm gonna spend a lot more time making these videos than I thought I'm going to. But who's to say? But overall, I very much enjoyed this first episode. It was a great introduction to this series. And to be honest, watching this episode really makes me want to see the Konami people make like an actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime fully based off of the manga. However, for the dub, I would like the 4Kids cast to return. Not the 4Kids people, the 4Kids cast. But I also understand why they don't really, why they wouldn't dub something like this, because this can get very violent if we go later on. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought about the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0 in the comment section down below. With that being said, thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. And if you did, please like button, subscribe if you're new for those already. Turn on notifications, don't forget to check out the Let's Play channel, link in the description and at the end of the video. And I'll see you guys next week on Wednesday from this point, every Wednesday, which also means I've completed the goal every day of video. But anyway, yeah, every Wednesday you will get a Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode talk. Bye!